Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Fortinet Live. I'm Rob Rashotte, the Vice President of the Fortinet Training Institute and Global Field Enablement. Today, I have Per and Niklas joining me. Per is an instructor and was with one of Fortinet's academic partners based in Sweden. And Niklas was his student who benefited from the Fortinet curriculum that is integrated into the cybersecurity program at our academic partners. So why don't we start off with Per and Niklas, if you can both tell us a little bit more about yourselves and your background.
Yeah, I started my career in cybersecurity, studying myself at the university level for 2 years. After that, I went on to work with an ISP for first line support, like more or less everyone. Moving over to consultancy after that, and sooner or later, I got into the teaching and educating our customers. Taking that to the next level was stepping into the classroom, and that's more or less my path to here. So today I'm teaching both academic and professionals as a Fortinet certified trainer, and also in the academy program.
Great. Yeah. And Niklas.
Yes. Well, since Per recently trained me and was a part of my education, I started in 2021 actually. So before that, I was in the industrial field. I was a CNC programmer and operator working on mills and turnings in the automotive industry and creating. And since the education, I've been working as a consultant. I started working during the education, and I've been working as a consultant since. So it's only 2 years in the field so far, but I'm loving it, and I have a lot of years left to give.
Great. So, both of you obviously have been involved in the Fortinet Academic Partner Program. This is a program that Fortinet started several years ago, where we've recognized the need. Obviously, there's quite a significant gap in the workforce within cybersecurity. So we've taken our technical training that we typically deliver to customers and partners, and we've gone out to the academic community and partnered with actually now over 700 academic institutions around the world, where we integrate our technical content into more academic programs. So obviously, Niklas, you're aware of that curriculum. You've gone through that program. I think one of the big benefits that we hear quite often from our academic partners is, students coming out with an academic credential is great, but being able to have that industry credential as well on resume, is certainly beneficial as well. So Per, if you could talk to us a little bit about, from a professor's perspective, what's it like today, just the reality of teaching cybersecurity within the academic community, and looking at the gap that's out there today in the workforce, and being able to provide a solution to help to close that workforce gap.
Yeah, I mean, the gap is huge, and it feels like it's getting bigger every day. And I'm myself, I'm involved in recruiting for my current firm, and it's not really easy. So I'm really glad that I have the academy program where I can scout guys like Niklas. So that's a real perk from being a professor at the program, right? But the field is developing so fast, and it just requires more and more and more people to help out. I mean, AI will help us a bit, I hope, but I don't think the skills gap and the people needed will decrease anytime soon anyway. It will just be another tool in our tool set to keep on going.
Yeah, it's something we talk about an awful lot about, the gap continues to increase, and, how do we continue to address that over time? And, one of the things that we often talk about, not just at Fortinet, but with other industry organizations and NGOs and so on, is, the need to really look at as wide a pool of candidates as we can. So rather than just looking at, who are the professionals that are out there today, really starting to develop that next, that next set of candidates that are coming into the industry. And Niklas, it sounds like your career previously was very different. So coming into this industry, what was it like for you getting into cybersecurity from an academic perspective and the training?
Well, I mean, just as you said, I worked in a completely different field, doing, manual labor and such. Sure, we had technology and IT equipment, and I mean, I've always been at the companies I've worked previously in other fields. I've always been the guy, helping out with the network and stuff like that, providing not so much security, but more, helping them out. And moving into it, it was kind of natural for me in a way, since I've always been working around tech and, this sort of equipment. But, from a pure security standpoint, I think it was quite eye-opening. You always knew in the back of your head, the threat actors and all of this, but it gave you a completely different perspective, getting to see it firsthand.
Yeah, I think having that interest, regardless of what field, you're coming from, in your case, as you say, you've had that interest in technology. And I think that's, a lot of the times really what it takes to get into cybersecurity is that interest and passion. There's a lot of different roles within cybersecurity, technical, non-technical, and so on. So, really encourage people that, if it's an interest that you have, there's a lot of ways to get into the field. And just like to let everyone know that in Niklas's case, coming in from a very different background, with our academic program at Fortinet, we have awards that we give out each year, and Niklas was actually the recipient of our Student of the Year award. So congratulations on that. Certification, I think plays a critical role within cybersecurity as well. Although cybersecurity has been around quite a while, it's still a relatively new industry compared to some other areas. So, for example, if we look at industries like finance and legal and so on, roles are very well defined. That's not necessarily the case in cybersecurity. And I think what, certification can really play a role in helping recruiters be able to identify the skills that are necessary and be able to validate that people have those skills. And again, taking the Fortinet certification and integrating it into an academic program, I think can really help in that regard. I'd like to hear, from both of you actually, what are your thoughts in terms of certification and the role that certification plays, both in an academic setting, in your case, both academic credentials and industry certifications together, and then Niklas, from your perspective, just from a career perspective, the role that certification plays.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. And I mean, like you said, Rob, certifications is a really good benchmark, and it's a really good from a recruitment perspective, because you know that at least someone has at the minimum learned the answers to these questions, right? So that's one way to set a minimum level. The hard part with certifications is that we have really good engineers that doesn't have the mind to answer correct on a test, which makes certifications sometimes a little bit rough, if you get what I'm saying here. But in general, I like certifications. I'm certified myself, and I believe in the certification program overall. But in some corner cases, it might be issues as well. So it's not all all good, but most of the times I think it is.
And Niklas, from your perspective, just from a career, obviously you're new in the field, but what are your thoughts on academic credentials as well as certifications? From a career perspective, should people be looking at one over the other, or are they complementary? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I completely agree with Pal in this regard, that certifications are absolutely necessary to have this certification to show that this person has studied and did put the work in to have a diploma to show that I know this skill, I can work within this field. And in terms of company awareness and stuff, when I took my first certifications, I started getting job offers, and when I took further certifications, more job offers showed up. So I mean, it really goes to show that companies are looking at the certifications just as a proof of somebody's skill and competency. But yeah, for me personally, I'm more of a practical guy. I learned by doing, labs and actually getting into the nitty-gritty of stuff. So just studying in text-based form was a bit of a struggle, but it works out. But yeah.
Yeah, you talk about the hands-on labs. Kind of leads me to my next question. Obviously within an academic setting, there's quite a range of courses from theory to practical and hands-on and so on. So from the Fortinet courses that have been integrated into the program that you took, and per both that you taught as well, what are your thoughts on those courses? Do they prepare you well? We've really tried to find a nice balance between theory and hands-on, and I assume, Niklas, that you were able to leverage the hands-on labs and so on. But again, just be really interested to hear your thoughts on the Fortinet courses themselves, and how the value you got out of them, and the level of preparedness that it provided.
Yeah, Niklas, you can start. Go ahead.
All right. Well, since I was kind of in the mid gap, I took my latest certification right before the revamping of the whole academic portal altogether. So I got to try out the older certificates, and now I've taken some of the newer ones. And personally, for me, I really enjoyed, I think, was it the FCO, Pal? The one which actually had more, integrated labs in the exam, where, you could see the process as a whole and, click through it and try out different things. I really enjoyed that aspect of it all. So I think integrating more of that, but also keeping the same level of text-based information is it's a good mix.
And from your perspective as an instructor or an educator, one of our goals, obviously, with the remote labs and our content, is to take as much work off of your plate as possible, and to give you an environment that's ready to go for your students. Have we met that objective? Is it suited well from an educator's perspective?
Yeah, I think the labs provided in the portal are just great. They are always working. I haven't been encountering a lot of issues over the years at all. It just press play, go, kind of objective. So, but of course, I mean, we work with network equipment. It's physical in the end when we enter the work life. So of course, we miss that part of education. I always talk to the academies where I teach to try to get a few kids at least, so the students can see the stuff. They know that it's an actual physical cable that transports the package from A to B, all that stuff, because it's very easy today when we do all the remote stuff to forget about it. I can't tell you enough how many issues in the real world that's physically based, not logically based.
Right.
Yeah, the labs are great as they are, especially in the educational purpose of it.
So just changing the conversation a little bit here, talking about the cybersecurity field in general. We know there's a significant gap in the workforce. There's I think the last numbers were close to 4 million jobs globally that have gone unfilled. That creates a work environment that can really overload people. I think anyone would agree in cybersecurity, you're in an industry that lifelong learning becomes a necessity. With those things in mind, and Niklas, maybe we'll start with you. What are with those challenges within cybersecurity? What do you enjoy about it? Is it just a environment where you just feel like the gap is so wide that you're just having to do so much work, or are there things about it that you're really enjoying? Again, there are such a wide variety of roles within cyber. I'm interested in what you get out of it personally, from a work perspective, and where you really see the joy, within your role and within cyber in general.
Well, like you said, it's a very broad field. There's a lot of positions and technologies you can work with as long as you're working within security. And I think that's one of the main reasons I enjoy this field is mainly you get to meet a lot of really talented people who can, share their knowledge, and people are, for the most part, very happy to share their knowledges and experiences with you. So it's a very open field where everybody just, loves these Fortinet events, like the partner synergies we have here, and stuff, where, you can sync up with other companies, even though they're basically your competitors. People are really good friends, and everybody's always, chatting about projects and technologies they've tried out, and it's just a great community to be a part of. And of course, I love the technical aspect of it all, but also the networking has become a really big piece of it. So that's a couple of the things I enjoy. And I mean, since graduating from the education, I'm part of the management team there, and I go out, to events and talk about people to join the education. And a lot of times people are like, well, what can you do when you work within that field? Yeah, well, there's a lot. So that's a couple of the reasons that I really enjoy it, and I hope we can take this to the moon, basically.
Yeah, I love your comment about the networking and the fact that you network even with companies that might actually be your competitors. I think the cybersecurity industry is very unique in that way that we do collaborate a lot, even with companies that are our competitors. And I think a lot of the times we step back as companies that might traditionally look at each other as competitors, and we know we need to collaborate because at the end of the day, the real competitor is the threat actor. And so I think that creates a lot of relationships that are very open and very collaborative, because we know it's not each other we're competing against. It is that threat actor. And so it is a very, very collaborative community for sure. Per, you've been in the industry for a while. What keeps you interested? What keeps you going within cybersecurity?
Well, just like Niklas is saying, there's always a new challenge around the corner, and I'm like I'm saying to my wife, I'm working with my hobby right now, so it's a great place to be. 8 hours a day is just not enough. It's hard to fit everything you want into 8 hours, and it's not because I have a huge load. It's just because it's interesting, and that's what keeps me going. It's a constant challenge. There's always something new to build, and I love building stuff. I'm a builder, so I like doing that. It just doesn't stop. So
Well, it's definitely an interesting industry to be in. I'd like to thank both of you for taking the time today and having this discussion. It's been great to spend some time with both of you. For those of you that are joining us today, definitely check out the Fortinet Training Institute, which you can find at fortinet.com. There's all kinds of information about our training and education programs on the Training Institute page, including our academic partner program for academic institutions. There's a wealth of training that's available within the Training Institute that's free of charge for anyone that wants to take it. A great way to get started if you're interested in moving into the cybersecurity field. So check that out for sure. And again, Per and Niklas, thanks very much for your time. And thanks everyone for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.